Lion Hearted Podcast.
What up? What up? You are now tuned into the Lionhearted Podcast where the feelings reside and only the strong survive. I'm your boy Maine, so let's get into it.
Yep. All right, I'm back. Man, it's been a minute. I had to take me a little bit of a break. You know, before I started on my YouTube journey, I was strictly audio, and I had put about 3 seasons of content out on my platform already. And I was consistently dropping every week for like the last year and a half. But you always got to listen to your mind and you always got to listen to your body. And we all need a break sometimes. And when I say that I took a break, that doesn't mean that I was doing absolutely nothing. Because I'm always doing something. Something pertaining to either my podcast, different other creative avenues that I have. And I had to finally get back to it because I was kind of catching myself getting kind of comfortable without it. When I had got so comfortable into dropping episodes so quickly, basically at the drop of a hat. And also it was like a lot of news that came, and like I said, this was going to be just strictly a sports podcast at first. But then, you know, when, like I said before in previous episodes, when sports have them dog days of sports and there ain't really nothing going on, I always wanted to find something interesting to talk about. And, you know, I figure I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of opinions. The way I look at the world. And like I always say, it's important a lot of times to be a voice for the voiceless, you know, because a lot of people may think a lot of the same things or similar to the way I do, but they just don't know how to put it out there, or they just may be too afraid in certain instances. So yeah, that's something I wanted to do. But first, like I said, it being a sports podcast, and I didn't intend on this first episode back being about that. Because let's be honest, that part of it comes easy. Sports, it's like, it's there for you. Football, basketball, whatever the case may be, WNBA. And it's just like, you just give your opinions on the game. And that'll always be there. But then sometimes it's the hard topics and, you know, the difficult ones, and like, dang, what am I going to talk about this week? And, you know, getting feedback from people that makes it all worthwhile. And just, you know, different life experiences through daily life give you an idea. Maybe I'm going through it personally, or maybe you going through it, or somebody I know, or whatever the case may be. And I like to interject myself positively when I can, excuse me. And I feel like we lacking that in this world. But before I get into that, I want to give a shout out to, man, we lost 3 legends. And it's crazy because they say when it happens, it normally happens in threes. And, you know, at first I thought that was like an old school saying, but sadly to say, it actually rang true. First and foremost, we lost the great Dikembe Mutombo. For those that don't know, that's a Hall of Fame basketball player, one of the greatest defenders to ever play the game. Was on the team that beat the Seattle Supersonics. He was with the Nuggets, and they were the 8th seed. And even if you don't know who he is, we've all seen that iconic photo of him like clutching the ball at the end of the series and like finally getting that victory. And I mean, watching the video, all you can do is speculate how he felt in that moment, but you can only surmise. Like, it had to be one of the greatest feelings ever. I mean, he went to Georgetown. Back in the day, it was a prestigious basketball university, played under Coach Thompson. I mean, he was a humanitarian. He put basketball on the map in a global scale, being an African-born player. Him and Akeem Olajuwon, being from the continent, and now you got players like Bobo, Joel Embiid, and the list goes on, and it's going to continue to grow. And the Basketballs Without Borders program, he spearheaded a lot of that. He played for many, many years in the league. And he just was an all-around great person from the outside looking in. Just the things he did, the things he stood for. And it sucks. I mean, me personally, I appreciate, privacy, being discreet and all them things. But it's like, man, he was part of my childhood. We watched him, throughout my childhood, we watched his play. So we kind of grew up watching him. So it's like to know that he was battling that, the reports go, he died, succumbed to brain cancer. He passed on from a battle with brain cancer. And it's just like, man, he put so much energy, good energy into the world. And he did so many good things for so many other people. And it's just tough. You know what I mean? Seeing that. So I definitely wanted to celebrate him and just, give him a shout out. Like I said, I'm a basketball junkie. Like I said, that his era, the era raised me. I mean, I'll never forget him trying to battle Shaq in the 2001 NBA Finals. I mean, it's Shaq. So that's a test within itself. I know the narrative was always AI didn't have no help that series, but we forget that Dikembe was Defensive Player of the Year that year in 2001. That's how great he was. I get it. Offense has always been more celebrated, but if you could stop somebody, that's always been more dominant to me. You can score 50, but if you can stop somebody from scoring 50, it just means that much more. So, yeah, rest in peace to the Basketball Hall of Famer, the humanitarian. He done had his jersey retired. I mean, if it's not, since the Finals Award is named after Bill Russell already, y'all need to give Dikembe the Defensive Player of the Year. They need to put his name on it. Give him that stamp, because between him and Ben Wallace in that era, they carried it. And in my opinion, that was the toughest era of basketball for big men and the dynamic guards that was always coming in the paint. Like I said, he had to deal with Shaq. He had to deal with C. Webb. He had to deal with KG, Tim Duncan. Then you had the guards. Well, AI was on his team for a little bit, but he had to deal with AI when he was on the Hawks and things like that. He had to deal with Kobe. He had to deal with Ginobili, D. Wade, LeBron. He played against so many great players, and his impact will be forever lasting. So rest in peace, Dikembe. You are truly one of the greats. And if to move on to the next person, that hit hard. Like I said, that Dikembe one, that was unexpected. But then this one too, and I get it, he was in his 80s, so you kind of he lived a full life at 80 plus years old. But the great Pete Rose. And I kind of know the story, but it's kind of like water under the bridge when you look at his accolades. He should have been a Baseball Hall of Famer. I think that's why it's no longer considered America's pastime, because they're so stringent on the things. I get it. Now, if he would have took performance enhancers or something like that to accumulate the stats that he has, you mean to tell me it ain't no Hall of Famers that's did that y'all got up in there? I'm pretty sure it is. If you look, and then see, this is the thing. Don't put him in now. You didn't put him in while he living. This is to his kids. Don't let them put him in. Don't let the MLB all of a sudden celebrate him and treat him like one of the greats, because it's been years. And I get it. They say he bet on the game or whatever the case may be. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that, whatever. It's part of the bylaws. But who cares? It doesn't take away what he did as a player. You mean to tell me I'd rather have somebody betting on the game and put him in the hall than somebody who took some extra something, some extra juice, if you know what I mean, to get up in there to accumulate them stats. He was already who he was before he did what he did. I'm just saying. It doesn't, what he did as a manager doesn't take away what he was as a player. He was already cemented as one of the greats. He was already set in stone. Nicknamed Charlie Hustle. It's funny now when you like really look back on it and you think like, oh, okay, that was like kind of like a hustle move. But then like RBI, stolen bases, like he earned that name in more ways than one. So and then like watching him as a kid, him doing a little WWF, now WWE, but in my era it was WWF. The little wrestling skits. I remember I was probably about I think I probably was like 8 or 9 when he came out for the first time, WrestleMania 14 in Boston, and Kane gave him the tombstone, and then it became like regular. Then he went 15. He went to Philly. You know, he gave it to him again. He was like wearing different costumes and always trying to fool the Big Red Machine, which obviously he never could. We always knew it was Pete, whether he had the chicken suit on, whether you know what I mean. If you watched around that time, you know what I'm talking about, man. Like, and just listening to his interviews, like he was so transparent through a lot of it, and you could tell he was just like a great interview. Now that's somebody that I wish I could have talked to on just life and on sports, because he had that aura about him. Like, even though they're not gonna put me in the hall, he kind of already accepted it. He knew what he was. He knew what we thought. So rest in peace to the great Pete Rose. Will be surely missed. Like I said, I've been going back listening to his interviews on YouTube and stuff, and it's just like, man, you kind of like, you take those type of national treasures on for granted a little bit, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in the episode after I give my shout outs. It's kind of like not taking things for granted in a sense. So yeah, like I said, RIP to the great Pete Rose, aka Charlie Hustle. And then today, man, or as I record this, we found out the great John Amos died. You know, the father from Good Times. That was always his moniker. I mean, that was well before my time, but of course, through watching through reruns, he was on the Players Club with Cube, and he was one of the cops. And you know, he was like, he didn't take no mess, man. And that's kind of what. Like, I would always hear the stories about him on Good Times, but like I said, that was before my era, so I didn't get to watch that, only through reruns. But seeing him in movies and certain shows, since then, no matter what character he played, like I said, even if you go back to the Good Times episodes, to the Players Club movie, whatever the case may be, he was like the same. That aura was the same. You knew. When you heard his voice, you knew who it was. You didn't even have to see his face on TV. He had a very unique voice. You know, you hear it all the time in movie references now. Like, yo, we didn't really, like they said at ATL, we didn't really talk about our problems. We just watched Good Times. So it kind of, you know, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was like one of the first actors slash actresses, you know, actors to speak out like on inequality, you know, from the TV shows, because I know they had like kind of X'd him out of the Good Times episodes. I never understood why exactly, because like I said, it was a little bit before my time, but like I said, he was always like a national treasure. And again, you look at the age and it's like, man, he lived a full life, so you kind of don't really want to be too sad about it, but it's just like, man, again, it's like we lost James Earl Jones this year, and anybody know anything about that with me, The Lion King, that is my all-time favorite movie, even before I knew what a Leo and a Zodiac and all that. The fact that that's my sign and that just ties into it now that's a bonus for me. But that was my favorite movie. Like, those are the type of people: James Earl Jones, John Amos, Pete Rose. You know what I'm saying? Those are the type of people. Dikembe Mutombo. Those are the type of people that, okay, when you leave here, that's how you leave. You leave a legacy that's worth something. You know, I'm not saying nobody's perfect. Everybody got flaws. Nobody's flawless on this earth. But the impact they left will be greatly. Because in my opinion, I ain't those people that I named, other than the little baseball stuff with Pete Rose. But like I said, true fans, we really don't care. Other than that, you don't hear anything negative about Dikembe. You didn't hear anything negative about James Earl Jones. You ain't heard nothing negative about John Amos. So people like that are to be celebrated. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, is just being that person with like a magnetic presence, a magnetic aura, and being, like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, I even had to take time to myself to, of course, I wanted to show up for y'all and keep dropping great content and everything like that. But at the same time, I needed to step away from it to gain that appreciation once again, because sometimes you just get on pilot mode and I'm dropping episodes. But then when you go back and you listen a little bit, like, oh man, I meant to say this, or I should have said this. And like, man, I can be honest with myself. It was times I felt like maybe the content kind of slipped a little bit. Like I could have did a lot better, whether it was one of the personal episodes, an interview, or a sports episode. As natural as that come to me, I mean, we all can take time to get better. But like I said, even when I was taking time off, I wasn't doing nothing. I was doing a lot of different things that soon to come. I don't want to give away too much right now because, I believe in speaking it into existence, but at the same time, I don't want to speak too soon. Just because when you put a time frame on things, then you tend to rush. You know what I mean? I'd rather not rush anything. I'd rather get it right. That's why I said I took necessary time off. You know what I mean? And I feel like now is the perfect time to come back, which I was going to do it anyway. Like I said, those 3 great pioneers that we lost, that was just extra motivation for me. And then this month in general is real big for me because it's October. As I drop this episode, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Yeah, it's kind of tough. Like man, how can I say that? Growing up, I lost my auntie, or 2 of my aunties, one my mom's sister, and then my grandmother's sister, my great aunt, to breast cancer before I even was brought into this world. So it's kind of like damn, you kind of feel like I never got to meet him. Heard some of the great stories about my Aunt Leona. Heard some great stories about my Aunt Velma. You know what I mean? Like man, if only, damn, my mom, older sister, man, maybe if my auntie was here, my mom wouldn't be the boss. Then maybe she would. You know what I mean? Because, like I always say, age don't matter. Because I'm technically the little brother. But if you ask my brothers, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it'll be like, I like to think that I'm the older brother. But yeah, so that's near and dear to me. And then and then it finally you grow up and it finally hit. Okay, that was more so an indirect hit. It affected my family, but I can't say it affected me personally to an extent because I didn't get a chance to meet them. But it was just that sense of what if? But then it kind of, everything in life goes full circle. And then to take 2 people away from me that I really cared about, me, it was tough. Candace, rest in peace. Mama Nancy, Candace Marie, Mama Nancy, rest in peace. the month of October, it's like we try to celebrate it. Like I said, I even, you know what I'm saying, you see it right here, fight cancer, you know, Lionhearted sweaters, you know what I mean? I'm always representing, you know. Follow me on Instagram. You can hit me up on Instagram, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, let me, one more time for y'all. Yeah, let me just, but yeah, it's big. So, you know, I know experiencing things like that, like I said, my aunties that I never had a chance to meet, two people that meant a great deal to me, a lot to me, and it's when the thought of those people, it just keep me going, because I always say, even all the things that I've been through, I always like to say it could be a lot worse. I don't like to complain because it could be a lot worse. It was only one time where I ever questioned. I was like, man, what's so special about me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Versus this person and that person. But then I started to think, like, why I caught myself getting kind of comfortable and understanding what was going on. Like, I was like, people need to hear me speak. You got a lot to say. And see, what we really need to start doing is like, embrace it. Start embracing your power. Start embracing your aura. Don't let it go by the wayside. You really only get one shot at this life. It's not over until it's over, but you only get one shot at this life. Regardless of what's thought of, regardless of what's said, regardless of how you started, it's about how you want to finish. Regardless of what you're going through right now, it's about where you can get to. Like, you know what I mean? It's about where you're trying to go. And like I said, even the strongest people, I'm considered to be a strong person, and I appreciate everybody who sees that power and that skill in someone like myself. But even I need to step away sometimes. Even I need to take a mental break. Somebody just asked me recently, like, what do you do when you're going through things? If I'm not podcasting, if I'm not talking, trying to uplift somebody else, because that actually gives me energy. I write. Like, I wrote a poem a few years ago, and I post it every year. Like I said, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The poem I did was about breast cancer. If you want to check it out, I posted it on my Instagram. You can go check that out. My Instagram will be at the end of this video. My TikTok will be at the end of this video. So, yeah, you definitely can go check those out. I posted it today as I record this, which is October the 1st. You know, the first day of October, excuse me. And yeah, I just wanted to, and another thing I wanted to talk about was, like, we get so caught up in what we perceive things should be, and we yet to realize that it's not about that. Like, it's like this narrative going on about, like, energy and leadership. That's like a big thing going on right now, right? But in order to lead, you got to know when to follow. And in order to follow, you got to know when to let somebody take the lead. Now, if you're not ready for that, you're not ready for that. But don't condemn the world for not, like we get tasked as, like, we get lumped in a group as men, as there's no more leaders anymore. There's no more leaders anymore. Like, you know what I mean? We get that a lot. We see all the memes and stuff on social media. But I feel like, and I can speak for all the men in my circle, we natural born leaders. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, the ones in your orbit may not know how to lead a fly to shit, but you know some leaders. It may not be the ones you want to know, but you know some. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get on here and be like, oh, all women don't know how to listen, because that's not true. All women don't like to let a man lead. That's not true. The majority of the women I know, they embrace that. The real ones. The ones that don't embrace it, they got some work to do. The men that don't know how to lead, y'all got some work to do. We're all flawed. We all got work to do. But it comes to a matter of putting the work in. And and I'm a real big advocate of that because I see it a lot. Like, it's funny because I get a lot of flack about it, kind of, because I be joking, but I be serious because I be like, man, because you know the whole thing, red flag, green flag, whatever, going on right now. So I just like to say, you know, my toxic trait is I'm a grown ass man and I stand on my values. Now, anybody that knows me, they can tell you those are some good values. I ain't perfect. I always talk about my flaws. So I don't hide nothing. I'm not perfect, but I know my intentions is always good. That's why I say that. Then people always tell me, well, because when you think about it, that's a joke. If I say my toxic trait is I'm a grown man and I stand on values, it's kind of tongue in cheek because it lets you know, because then people are like, that's not toxic. Oh, I know. You don't got to tell me that. But to the 90% of the world, to the 10 to 15 memes that I seen, even though it's 10:30 in the morning and I only been up a few hours, let them tell it. Let the memes tell it. We extinct or we toxic. That's a form of masculinity. And they like to say being masculine is toxic. That's where the term comes from. So, you know, me, I like I said, I'm a jokester, but I'm serious at the same time. Like I said the other day, again, another toxic trait I have is, and apparently it's toxic masculinity, but that trait is, I'm a communicator. And I don't understand, I can't comprehend the lack of that skill. Don't let that go over your head. I'm a communicator, and I can't comprehend the lack of that skill. Does that sound toxic to you? Sit and think about it. No way. It can't, right? Because I'm telling you, I want to communicate. Ain't that what people always say? Communication is key. But see, what they do in 2024, they say communication is key because they don't expect you to be able to communicate. See, when they say it and you're able to do it, then that's when how you gonna say communication is key, but you always coming with the silent treatment. Your ears is always closed and you're afraid to listen. Like I said, we've all been through ups and downs and past experiences. But if you keep putting yesterday for today, how are you going to get to tomorrow? How do you expect to make it to tomorrow if you keep thinking about yesterday? You ain't even got to today because your mind is so focused on yesterday. Yesterday is yesterday, no matter what. No matter if it's good, bad, ugly, indifferent, you can't get it back. Once 30 minutes from now goes by, that it'll never be that time on this day, 2024, again in this lifetime, ever. Once a day passes on the calendar, that's it. Once something happens, that's it. See, I also like to say this. You deal with what's present because I like to look. They say don't look too far down the road, but I always like to take a peek. I always like glance at because I've understood since the day that I came into this world. Mind you, now I can say this because I came into this world and I was not breathing when I came into this world. And I don't say that to throw a pity party. I'm just making an observation. I just want you to know this is why I think that deep, because I don't compare my situations to anyone else's. That would not be fair. That would never be fair. But I like to use myself as an example to let you know the things that I'm saying, I've thought about it. It's certain things that I've experienced, dealing with different people, different mindsets, and different, you know what I mean? And I'm more mature now because the things that I've been through since I was since the day I was born, and the things that I've had to overcome. And so it's a reason why I think the way that I do. And I look at it like this: as bad as today's situation might have been, or good or bad or indifferent, whatever, it's another shitstorm coming. And the best part about it is when you got somebody to help you jump over that mound, that's probably the best part. But sometimes you got to step through it. Sometimes you got to step around it. Sometimes you got to jump over it. And sometimes you just got to walk right in it and clean your shoes off later. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is, because it doesn't stop. Like they say, time stops for no one. Time stops for no man. Time stops for no woman. So what is the purpose that you get from dwelling on a situation? Again, I'll say it again. My toxic trait is that I'm a communicator, and I don't comprehend the lack of that skill. Another toxic trait that I have is I'm a grown-ass man, and I stand on values. And if that's considered toxic, I'll be that then, because I know those are some of the greatest values that you can have, is what I just named. Like if you're a strong woman, be that. If somebody can't handle it, well, then they just can't handle it. It's many people out there that can. You don't got to dumb yourself down for nobody. You don't got to dim your light for nobody. Greatness makes the incapable uncomfortable. Always remember that. I'll say it again. Greatness makes the incapable uncomfortable. Everybody got a lot to say, but don't nobody got no solutions. And memes ain't no solution. Gifts ain't no solution. Like they used to tell us when we was little, use your words. When you want something, use your words. When you feel something, use your words. Words is powerful. The power of the tongue. If you want to manifest something, speak it. Speak it into existence. I said it a little bit earlier. Everything I've wanted, I've written down. I speak it. I talk about it. Even the stuff that I've been through, I write it down. I get it off my spirit. So I don't take the energy outside with me, especially if it ain't your fault. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, I was chosen for this life for a reason. I don't blame my mom. I don't blame my dad. I don't blame my sisters. I don't blame my brothers. I don't blame my friends. I don't blame the women I've dated. I don't blame. This is my journey. And I can be negative through it, but that ain't gonna change nothing. So why not come at it with a great attitude and just try to make the best out of it? You know? And then another thing I always like to say is too, and it's some homework for y'all. Start doing this. Shout out to my girl Vanessa, because I seen it. She posted something earlier on her social media. You know, she said, be kind to people, because everybody going through something. You don't know what nobody going through. Be kind to somebody today. And I always like to say this. The best thing to do, regardless of if it's reciprocated or not, because I feel like we get so caught up in the reciprocation of things, like, oh, if I do this for this person, they need to do this for me. Nah, if it's a good deed, if you want to do it, if you felt like doing it, do it. Do things without expecting something in return. If you receive the same love, if you receive the same energy, great. But this is what you do. You make an impact on someone so strong that their life story can't be told without you. I've been working on this book for a while about my life story, because like I say, my life would be a dope ass movie. And if you're a part of it, you know what I'm talking about. And it's a lot of people that I can't tell the story of my life without putting them in it, whether it's a couple of pages, a whole chapter, or if you threw and through the whole book. Because those are the people that made the impact on me. Now, there's a few people that I can leave you out, and it would still be a dope story. You know what I'm saying? But and it's not, and that's good, bad, or indifferent. You know what I mean? Some people have affected you negatively, and you still, like, because good or bad, like we all hold on to that. Like I said, I had a situation where I was made fun of by an older person when I was 9 years old. I never forgot it, and I've made a promise to myself that I'll never, from that day forward, I'll never let nobody look down on me like that again. Now I'm very strong-willed, very strong-minded. I get it. I rub people the wrong way a lot of times. I'm a lot. I know I'm a lot, but I'd rather be a lot. I'd rather be too much than not enough any day of the week. But you can be like that too. Always remember, you can be like that too. Dikembe Mutombo was like that. John Amos was like that. Pete Rose was like that. James Earl Jones was like that. You know, all the great people we look up to. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, there's greatness in normal people too. It's not just the rich and famous. It's not just the celebrities. It's the people that you see in a grocery store. It's the friends that you grew up with, that from the sandbox, that you went to elementary, junior high, high school with. Normal people. People you've seen deemed as normal. Some people got that light. You know what I'm saying? Some people got that light. And I feel like I'm one of those people. But my job to do with that light is not to think that I'm better than anybody else. It's to help everybody around me shine. You may be in the darkness. You may be dim, but let me walk towards you. Let me walk towards you because I'm glowing. I got a certain light about myself, you know, that I can give to somebody else. And that's my whole purpose in this. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm going to do the sports thing because that's natural to me. That's how I first started out. But this is my favorite. Like hearing people be able to say like, man, I woke up in the morning, you gave me that extra juice, you know, or I went to sleep at night listening to what you had to say, and it really helped me. It put me at ease, you know, men and women alike. You know what I'm saying? Both on both sides. That's why I don't try to just like, I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to get on here and be, oh, you got to bash women or women got to bash men. Nah, we need each other. We need each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or it's a failure. We can't survive without each other. At least in my opinion, like we need y'all need us. You know what I'm saying? And why more people don't think like that, I don't know. Why we don't attract more people like that, I don't know. But that's my goal, is to start surrounding myself with the people that think similar to the way that I do, or people that even if they don't think the way that I do, they're at least open to listen to it. We gotta start doing that too. Instead of start saying like we don't have enough of these people in the world, or the case may be, we need to start putting them type of people in our orbit. Think about it. Think about it. Think about all the people that you might reject a phone call or not text back to or not really want to be around. Like, because what I learned is like people are people at the end of the day. And I would rather take a person how they naturally are and build that chemistry off that than try to build somebody into a vision of mine to where they clearly don't have those traits. Because that's hard, and there's going to be a lot of disappointment, and there's going to be a lot of letdown with that. So surround yourself with the type of people that you want to attract, right? Because you make the choice. Always remember that. We all got choices. You got a choice who you want in your life. You got a choice who you want to exit out of your life. Sometimes you got to be, and don't be, and one thing I learned over the last 2 years, don't ever feel like it's negative to be, the word selfishness is not a negative connotation at all. It's okay to be selfish sometimes because you got to take care of you before you can take care of everybody else. And that's one of the main things I learned, and it's been helping me a lot. And I can do more for people when I'm giving more energy to myself. But yes, with that being said, I always want you to remember, just because their vision is blurry, that doesn't diminish your greatness. Until next time, stay lion-hearted.